This is where we begin, as Works and Housing Minister Kojo Nkrumah has inspected ongoing drainage projects currently being undertaken by the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project and the Ghana Hydrological Authority. These are parts of measures to ensure adequate preparations ahead of the rainy season.
The minister made his first stop at Alobushi, which is a known flood-prone community where the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project is undertaking community upgrade works, which includes storm drains construction and the provision of access roads. Kojo Nkrumah, the Works and Housing Minister.
About three major contributors to the flooding challenge that we've been trying to deal with. There are many places where there are no proper channels for evacuating the average volumes of water that may come as a result of rainfall or something. And in those areas where you have the natural earth channels, those are the areas where we are constructing the storm drains or the big channels like we saw earlier. So that's one intervention, and you require a lot of resources to be able to do that. The second is that there are places where you have storm drains or you have natural channels that require dredging, because these drains are open. And because of our habits as people, as you saw in some of the other areas, while the construction is ongoing, people are still throwing debris and rubbish and materials into it.
The team made its next stop at Odo River, where a performance-based dredging is ongoing ahead of the rainy season.
We can come in and build storm drains, but if the local communities don't take ownership to ensure that they are not choked, if the local communities don't take ownership to ensure that, for example, where we are doing this catchment system to ensure that the silt that comes from uphill is arrested, they don't take responsibility to clear it regularly, all of this will go waste.
The minister made a final stop at Kaswa, where storm drains are being constructed at Iron City and surrounding communities. The drain constructions are part of the ministry's flood control program to mitigate perennial flooding in flood-prone areas in Greater Accra and Kaswa.
We will work to ensure that the funding is available. You work to ensure that the contractors are on time and in accordance with specification. But additionally, what I need you to do is to build the collaborations with the local assemblies and the local communities so that they take ownership for the maintenance of these projects. Then they don't deteriorate, so that we have to look for more money and come back to come and do the salting after we've done.
On your election headquarters tonight, former President John Mahama says the interests of teachers and women will be upheld with the nomination of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as his running mate because she belongs to both NDC sects. The NDC flag bearer on Thursday outdoored the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast as running mate for the second time. Commenting on his choice as he toured the Upper West region, Mr. Mahama said he is confident the country will have its first female vice president after the 2024 general elections.
And then also, I want to thank all the teachers of Ghana. As you know, yesterday, I named my running mate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who has been a long-time teacher. Many students have passed through her hands. And she has also been Minister of Education before. And so she is one of you. And so I'm sure that you have a representative and a friend in the highest office of the land, that is the presidency. And I'm sure she will take care of your interests and do the things that would improve the education sector and the teaching profession. I'm happy too that today is International Women's Day, and we've been able to present to the women of Ghana for the second time. We did it in 2020, we're not successful, but this time I know we're going to be successful. We are presenting to the women of Ghana, a female running mate, and I'm sure that come 7th January 2025, we shall swear in a female vice president for the first time in Ghana's history.
We stay a while with the NDC because the flag bearer of the party, John Mahama, has explained the passage of the Affirmative Action Bill, which will be among the first set of legislative items the next government of the NDC will do if elected into power. That is, if the present parliament fails to do so before it exits. He made the statement at the Warner's Palace, where the former president visited as part of a tour of the Upper West region.
Women and men as partners. And so when we empower our women, we are empowering ourselves. And so NDC is committed to making sure that we allow women the opportunity to also realize their full potential in life. So we are committed to what they call the Affirmative Action Bill, which is a bill that is currently in Parliament. It is one of the bills that has remained in Parliament for the longest time, and I am urging this Parliament to pass the Affirmative Action Bill, or else if they don't, it will be one of the first things, legislative items, that we do under a new NDC government.
In other stories tonight, political economist at GIMPA, Professor Lord Mauku Yavuga, has added his voice to recent calls to allow women take up leadership positions, especially in politics. He underscored the important contributions women have made towards the economic development of the country. He made these remarks during the Include Her Forum organized by Shime Solutions. Rejoice Semefakpesu has more in the following report.
In a global landscape where progress is propelled by actions, an increasing focus is being placed on harnessing the transformative influence of women in steering economic affairs. The Include Her Forum, organized by Shime Solutions, is one of the great platforms used to share and celebrate the success stories of women across the world and to recognize the invaluable contributions they bring to the table.
We must celebrate any effort at inclusion. If for a long time women who are more than men in terms of our population, if they've not been part of the national decision making, then that's problematic. So if at least now we are making effort at including them at that level, that's good. But we have to broaden the conversation. It's not enough just to give few women some, it's a tokenism. You are just giving something to tick a box. We need to have a bigger conversation that how come that in a country where women are more than men, when it comes to decision-making roles, women are not given that, and what can we do? And that goes back to certain practices. So people say patriarchy. So there is a culture, part of the culture where women are assigned to certain roles in society. There are things that men can do and women can do. We need to break those barriers. We need to create an environment that allows both men and women to compete. You see, it's not about doing women a favor. Because in most conversations, when we talk about including women, it's about affirmative action. That, oh, let's deliberately give women this and that. It shouldn't be the case that today, if a woman is made a running mate, then there are a lot of fanfare. That should be a natural process. We should have a situation where women can aspire to be president, like the men do.
Media personality Kokui Salome emphasizes that while the call for women's empowerment is crucial, the elevation of individuals should be grounded in merit rather than solely based on gender.
I think there are many examples of women who have made it by dint of hard work. Their credentials speak for themselves. These are highly educated women who have worked hard to get where they are. And when we look in the upper echelon of management in companies and even for business owners in this country, we see phenomenal accomplished women. I'll emphasize elevation based on merit. Let's promote excellence. Let's encourage excellence. There are brilliant women out there. Let's promote that and project that. That inspires other women to aspire to be brilliant. I think quotas are good if those quotas give opportunities to people who have earned them. I don't think quotas should exist just to tick a box or just to say, well, you said we should have 50% women, so we found 50% women to add to the 50% of men. That's not enough, because beyond that, how does that better our circumstance? If whichever woman you're bringing in, just because she's a woman, what is she going to add to the table? And then if she doesn't excel or she doesn't succeed, then what happens to the opportunity for the next woman?
Founder of Shimei Solutions and life coach Lady Sam has been sharing the inspiration behind the forum.
Well, Lady Sam is somebody who is passionate about motivating people and pushing them to their potential. So every year, when it comes to International Women's Day, I look at the theme and I adapt my conversation. The driving force is I'm a woman passionate about other women achieving their goals. And we have International Women's Day. That's a perfect opportunity for us to put ourselves on the map, to make our voices be heard, because there are so many contributions from women from all walks of life, but sometimes their voice is not heard. And this is the perfect opportunity. So I got these wonderful resource women together who agreed, and you heard them today saying wonderful things, giving great insights. And that's what drives me. If I can help in some way or some form to impact people, you know, then I've done my job. And it's about equal opportunities. It's about women having the same opportunities as men so long as they have the same credentials. It's not about being against men, because at the end of the day, we can't do this without men, right? You see, there are some men in the program today. So I don't want to speak for others. For me, I would say I do believe in women's rights, but we can't do it without the men.
Women taking center stage on all game endeavors.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is urging athletes competing at the 13th African Games here in Accra to push their limits and showcase the immense talents that Africa possesses. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the game at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, he advised the participating countries to compete with integrity and sportsmanship to honor the values of fair play and respect in the competition. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
You are the embodiment of perseverance and passion, demonstrating the heights that can be achieved through hard work and commitment. As you compete in the various disciplines over the coming days, remember that your efforts inspire countless individuals across the continent. Strive for excellence, push your limits, and showcase the immense talent that Africa possesses. Africa is a continent of rich diversity, encompassing a multitude of cultures, traditions, and identities.
Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf says Ghana is determined to host a successful sports event.
After several years of preparation for the hosting and organization of the 13th African Games, including the construction works and series of meetings, I am thrilled and privileged to be here today for the opening ceremony for the 13th African Games, Accra 2023. In October 2018, Ghana won the bid to host the African Games, a decision which was a realization of a national dream, as Ghana has never hosted the African Games since its inception. Winning the bid to host the African Games was welcoming, but it also placed enormous responsibility on us to put in place the required infrastructure for such a multidisciplinary sports event. As a nation and as a government, we knew exactly what we were getting into, and we launched our bid, and we're very committed to achieving it. However, as we started our preparation and launched forward to the Accra 2023 with optimism, the whole world was hit by a devastating pandemic, which threw the global sporting calendar into disarray. Scheduling for the major sporting discipline, including the 13th African Games, were affected, leading to the rescheduling of the date. Today, Accra 2023 has come a reality. If Ghana has realized its age-long national dream of hosting the African biggest sporting festival, it is because of the distinguished leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Now, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor has reiterated the pivotal role of the Canada-Africa Chamber of Business in enhancing bilateral and trade relations between Ghana and Canada, particularly the extractive industry. There's more in the following report.
Delivering an address at the 25th Annual African Mining Breakfast and the 22nd Annual Investing in African Mining Seminar held in Toronto, Canada, Mr. Jinapor shed light on the historically rich relationship between Ghana and Canada. According to him, the time has arrived for the two countries to ramp up the collaborations with investment in Ghana's extractive sector as a focal point of the renewed relationship.
Undoubtedly, over the years, this annual Africa Mining Breakfast and Investing in African Mining Seminar has become the largest meeting place for government and businesses interested in Africa's mining industry. Holding this Africa-focused event on the sidelines of the world's oldest and biggest mining conference, the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada Convention, PDAC, is further testament to the bond of relations between Africa and Canada, which has been manifested in several areas of cooperation in trade, peace, and security. That is why the work of Canada-Africa Chamber of Business and this seminar are very consequential.
The Lands Minister touted the summit, as well as the Canada-Africa Chamber of Business, as major platforms for the promotion of investment in Ghana's mining sector. He also took time to explain Ghana's tripartite mineral harnessing policy to the investors, noting that the government's commitment to a successful implementation of the policies has opened up a myriad of investment in the extractive industry.
There is no better sector to promote trade and business than the extractive industry, which has proven to generate significant rent for its owners and stakeholders. Distinguished guests, mining remains the bulwark of the African continental economy, contributing substantially to revenue and gross domestic product. In Ghana, for example, the sector contributes approximately 16% of government income and 7.1% of our GDP. And even after years of mining, Africa still holds some 30% of the world's mineral reserves, with large deposits of green and emerging metals, including 91% of platinum group of metals, 79% of phosphate rock, 53% of cobalt, 46% of manganese, 35% of chromite, 21% of graphite, 6% of copper, and substantial reserves of lithium, iron ore, and rare earth elements. Without a shred of doubt, the future of global mining rests in Africa.
Let's bring you more stories tonight, because in a bid to strengthen healthcare resilience, the Hope for Future Generation Advocacy Group is rallying for increased domestic financing dedicated to immunization efforts, urging government to prioritize public health investments amidst global challenges, warning of potential repercussions on childhood immunization. The program's manager for the group, Nancy Ansa, emphasizes the looming threat as inadequate financial resources pose a grave risk to crucial healthcare initiatives.
As the world grapples with ongoing health challenges, the spotlight intensifies on childhood immunization as a result of public health. Amidst fervent calls for increased domestic financing, experts underscore the urgency of safeguarding the well-being of the youngest population, highlighting the critical role immunization plays in fostering resilient and thriving communities. Hope for Future Generation Advocacy Group is calling on the government to increase domestic immunization financing.
As you know, we have been talking about increased domestic resource mobilization for immunization today, and we have also been talking about timely payment of Government of Ghana's co-financing obligation. You see that sometimes the payment takes some time before it gets done, and we know that when that happens, we have gaps. We have a logistical constraint. Sometimes you think we will hear, maybe last year we heard that there was maybe shortage of some vaccines. All this, we know that when government commits funding, as a way of increasing domestic resource mobilization and also paying its co-financing obligations, there will be money available, there will be funding available to meet our immunization budget. As Gavi plans to exit in the near future, then government will be able to cover its immunization financing in full. And now we are talking about the co-financing obligations. The government of Ghana should pay its co-financing obligations timely. We need the vaccines to stay healthy, to avoid deaths, to avoid deformities, to avoid illnesses. So when we are able to take charge of our immunization and every child gets immunized or vaccinated, we know that we have saved our children from illnesses, we have saved our children from death, we have saved the government from an overburdened health budget in the future.
Vice President of the Global Health Advocacy Incubator, Vandana Shah, underscored the need for Ghana to take ownership and financial responsibility for its vaccination programs.
So the future for Africa and really the rest of the world is for countries to begin to own their immunization program. So I think there's been a lot of support from organizations like Gavi and UNICEF and WHO, but I think the emphasis now really is on low and middle income countries to begin to, as they were co-financing, to now start financing independently with technical support their immunization program. And that is really, the focus of the Global Health Advocacy Incubator, to work closely with the CSO coalition and the Ghanaian government to support them to actually own and finance their own vaccination program.
Ghana's immunization program relies on co-financing from Gavi, whose Vaccine Alliance plays a pivotal role in vaccinating over half of the world's children against life-threatening infectious diseases. Rejoice Semefakpesu's report, read to you.
Now, incumbent New Patriotic Party Member of Parliament for Sunyani East constituency, Kwesi Ameyaw-Treme, has been re-elected as a parliamentary candidate in the delayed primaries in Sunyani. This is his 5th consecutive victory. The MP, who polled 460 votes as against 339 by Ambassador George Kumi, is confident of retaining the seat and breaking the 8, despite the challenges confronting the constituency. Precious Semevo has more.
Finally, Sunyani East constituency of the New Patriotic Party has a parliamentary candidate for the 2024 general elections after a peaceful primary at the Pastoral Center in Sunyani. This comes on the back of the National Executive resolving the long-standing constituency delegates list. After an intense campaign involving old foes, incumbent NP Kwesi Ameyaw-Treme and Ambassador George Kumi, 460 delegates gave the nod to Ameyaw-Treme to attempt to win the seat for the 5th time against 339 votes by Ambassador Kumi.
So on behalf of the Electoral Commission, Bono region, and on behalf of the Commission in Accra, Madam G. Mensah and the team, I hereby declare Kwesi Ameyaw-Treme as duly elected.
Ameyaw-Treme said the victory is a testament to the confidence the people have in him. He, however, said breaking the 8 is only achievable if they unite with a purpose.
Thanks for the openness, the frankness, the fairness, and the transparency with which we have conducted these elections. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to everybody. This is not the first time the constituency has elected me. They have always voted for me to represent them in Parliament. And they still have confidence in me, in spite of all the challenges we have had as a constituency over the past 2 years. It shows that the party is resilient, is strong, and we are moving forward. Sunyani East constituency na 2024 abatoɔ no ne yɛsi ani so sɛ yɛpɛ sɛ yɛbreki 8 no is more than achievable. We will break the 8 in Sunyani East, and it starts from Sunyani East.
Ambassador George Kumi, who went independent in 2016 after losing to Ameyaw-Treme and has lost again, had this to say.
It is the New Patriotic Party that has won. Yes. I will entreat all supporters and party members to rally behind Honorable Kwesi Ameyaw-Treme for victory in 2024.
Haruna Muhammad, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP and Elections Committee Chairman for Sunyani East, had this message for the supporters.
What I want to put out to the supporters is that this was an internal contest. The contest is over. There is no George Kumi, there is no Ameyaw-Treme, there is NPP. We have to win this seat and we have to win it back again. And this is what we have to all stand for.
Kwesi Ameyaw-Treme now has NDC Said Mubarak to contend with in the December 7th parliamentary elections. Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyani.
That's it for tonight, but for more news you can log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Have a good night.